Hello chess friends and welcome to your Art of Chess channel and welcome to another beautiful gameplay by the strongest chess engine in the world. Welcome to an amazing gameplay by Stockfish 16.1 against another top engine motor in an amazing Richter-Veresov attack performed here by Stockfish with the white pieces. And the Richter-Veresov attack is, I think, a very tough opening to play. There are of course certain ideas that white is trying to apply, but there are also great counter-attack possibilities for black, so sometimes it's very hard to find really the best tactical solutions, the most important plans, and Stockfish will show us here really great attacking ideas, but also this other engine motor will show great counter play on the queen side, also great tactical solutions of the middle game. So very great game, and the end of the game also will see a beautiful chess endgame pattern, really a beautiful table based chess endgame, which is also very important now with the knight and a pawn against 3 pawns. So we'll cover again everything. First of all, great opening theory, great middle game strategies, and then also incredible endgame ideas here by these two top engines. So let's see now what happened with the white pieces. The fish opened with the move d4, knight to f6 by motor, knight to c3, d5, and now after bishop to g5 we have now the so-called Richter-Veresov attack. So the idea is clear, we want to mess up the structure. Bishop takes f6, g takes f6, e takes f6 leads of course into complicated positional problems for black because of the double pawn structure. So the main line is of course knight from b to d7, trying to reload of course here around the square f6. If bishop to f6 happens, then knight to f6 is not messing up the structure. e3, e6, queen to f3, interesting idea, interesting sideline. Also bishop to d3 is possible, but queen to f3 leaves you of course a much better flexibility, and you're only one move far away from queenside castling, which is applying this really fast development style, and now going into an attack maybe with g4. We have c5 by motor, very good move I would say, immediately cracking the position on the queenside castling. The fish is castling into black's attack. a6 motor is preparing of course here b5 stuff, and now Stockfish goes with knight from g to e2 with the flexibility to maybe get knight to f4, knight to d3, controlling this one, controlling the center of the board. So still good opening choice also here by the fish. Queen to a5, and now you see motor immediately attacks the position around the square a2, and now Stockfish plays a very interesting idea. I would dare to say even a must move now for white, which is actually even the main strategic goal of white in the Richter-Veresov attack. Although you're giving up the bishop for a knight, black should not take of course with the pawn because it messes up the structure simply too much here. Then you have problems where to castle. Queenside castling, kingside castling would be very risky for black here. So that's why after knight to f6, okay, black is continuing the game with the bishop pair on the board, but the issue for black is that again it's not this optimal bishop pair. We have to notice always in these types of structures when you have f6 e6 f7 e6 d5, the light square bishop is always stuck here and you cannot develop in such a great way. And now also what we have to say, when the knight is moving here towards this side of the board, it cannot be useful in black's progress maybe on this side of the board. So now at least Stockfish deflected now the knight from the attack here on the queen side, and now okay, the knight is well placed. I'm not saying black is having a bad position, but very important moment now in the opening stage of the Richter-Veresov attack. And here after knight to f6, we have to also say my Stockfish engine at home evaluates the position even slightly better for black. So here after knight to f6, g4 immediately by the fish, immediately attacking this knight on f6. We have here b5 by motor, counter attack on the queen side, g5. We have knight to d7, and now e4. When you get attacked on the flanks, there is a certain rule that says that you should break then the position in the center of the board. So we have now the central counter attack here by the fish. What should you do? Now in the next couple of moves, when I analyzed the game at home, I was always asking the question, is a b4 move here possible? Seemed like a logical choice here for black to me, but actually b4 is not so dangerous to handle here for white. This wasn't played in the game, but I think we should really understand what's going on now after potential b4 move. Then you play e takes d5. You allow here b takes c3, and now you pick up this pawn the pawn is attacking the knight, the rook is now hanging on a8, and now trying maybe to defend it with knight to b6 if you don't want to lose any further material. But then queen to f7, you could maybe hide here to d8, but now the d file gets open with d takes c5, and black is getting destroyed after a couple more moves. You can just prolong the game by covering, but I think we can agree game over here for black. So that's why after move e4, bishop to b7, Motor is competing now against his unpleasant queen on f3, and now the fish is taking, e takes d5. Again, let's see options here for black, because in the beginning the game gets complicated, then later it will be more understandable, I think, what's going on the board. But after this complex middle game, I think we should really see now sidelines opportunities now for white and for black. After e takes d5, if you try here something like, I don't know, e takes d5 to pick up now the pawn to keep yourself a healthy structure, then bishop to a6 is going to happen. And if you try to get out of this mess, then knight to f4, you're trying again maybe this move b4, but then rook to e1 is going to happen. Look at this, knight to d5, you're getting destroyed around the square, rook is hanging, bishop is stuck here, you cannot castle, game over. Even if you try, instead of e takes d5, if you try maybe b4, immediately seems also logical, because now the bishop is there. This whole concept with d takes e6 is not working, and now you play knight to e4, and now after something like bishop to d5, we have this one, knight to f4, and now the problem is not, if you play here queen takes a2, the issue is that you get this one, knight to d5, queen to d5, you get this one, d takes c5. If you go somewhere with the queen, then knight to f6 again destroys the position. So here, instead of this move queen to d5, you would be pretty much forced to play e takes d5, but then bishop to h3 again, and I think black could have still a complicated game. In some lines, maybe bishop to d7 is working, decoying the king towards the center, preventing it, of course, from castling. So still, I would say a very unpleasant position here also to handle after e takes d5, or maybe here with the immediate move b4. So that's why after e takes d5, we have bishop to e7. Motor is preparing now to castle kingside. Stockfish continues now with d takes e5, releases now the pressure in the center of the board. And now the issue is, again, this move b4 that I think we should really discuss here is again not working because of the c6 fork. Now there is a problem also, the rook will be hanging then on this diagonal when we play something like d6, so again game over here for black. So that's why for d takes c5 we have knight to c5. Stockfish continues now with a3 finally. Now b4, again, let's see what happens if we play b4. Seems again tempting. Then after a takes b4, queen to b4, rook to g1 with the opportunity to play rook to g4. You don't want to tolerate, of course, the queen now on the b file, because the rook could be included into the attack. Then we move the bishop. There are some problems, of course, obviously on the b file. So now maybe after something like castling, queen to f4 could be then the liberating line for white, simplifying the game, trying to trade off queens, which is, I think, very important now for white because of this active queen, because of the bishop pair, and the game becomes an open battle, and the bishops love, of course, the open game. So that's why now it will be very important to get rid of the queens. Maybe black is trying to hold on to this, then d6. Very complicated game, but in a potential line like this, my Stockfish engine evaluates the position like equal, so with good chances for both sides. But I still kind of would love more to play this game from white's perspective because of this advanced pawns, especially because of this passer. Bishop very active. We have the rook connection. Black still needs to somehow include more pieces into the game. So as I said, very tough position, I think, again, for both sides. Here what you could try is bishop to g5 instead of b4 in this particular position. But after bishop to g5, again, this wasn't played in the game, but bishop to g5, let's see also this idea. It's an obvious problem in the position. Bishop to g5 leads into this. White simply improves now the position of the king. Black retreats because black doesn't want to get any attacks on the g file, and now includes, of course, the bishop into the game. Then we play rook to g1 anyway. You're trying b4. We take, and now rook to g4. The queen gets attacked. Now the queen plays here on e3, trying to first of all get out of this tactical mess on the light scores. Then castling knight to g3, preventing also knight to a4. very important move, knight to a4 to prevent, because then there are maybe some tactics around the square b2. The knight could be deflected from the defense of this diagonal, so maybe something like e takes d5, knight to h5 again for white, attacking now the bishop in a potential line again, d4, knight to f6. Again, I would say maybe slightly better position here for white, because of the possibility to immediately push the pawns here on the queen side. The position would not be so dangerous without the queens on the board, and now white has also better activity on the d file, or the bishop will eventually come out. The knight has still a flexibility all over the board, so we can agree, I think, slightly better position here for white. So here after move a3, we have now analyzed the move b4 and also bishop to g5. So here the motor engine didn't play, both of these lines played now a solid kingside castle. The fish continues with rook to g1, e takes d5, we have knight to f4, putting more pressure against this pawn, d4, attacking now the queen, and now Stockfish plays knight to d5. Great counterattack. Here in the game, d takes c3, Stockfish takes, knight takes e7 comes with the check, king to h8, and now finally queen takes c3. And now the position is splashing. The pressure is not anymore on the board. Now we're reaching the fully endgame stage, and look how the fish is now playing this endgame. Really incredible stuff. First of all, after queen to c3, motor took, and queen takes c3, b takes c3, and okay. When we watch now the position, white is up a pawn, but has a messed up pawn structure on the queen side. Also, these pawns are all vulnerable to black's attack. And also, pardon me, what's very important to say here, that black has a better activity with his pieces. For instance, knight to a4 could happen, hitting this one. The c file could be open. There are certain problems here. So black has, I think, a decent compensation for a lost pawn, has here really great attacking chances. But the fish continues after rook to e8 with this move, knight to f5, bishop to f3, hitting the rook. Here again, counterattack by Stockfish, hitting also the rook. Rook to e7, and now rook to d4, getting out of the attack. Rook to e1, good move by motor. King to d2, and now rook to b1. You see, black is playing also a great game here. It's not allowing this bishop on f1 to breathe, but Stockfish found a different way how to get out of this mess. Played now the rook to g3, knight to e6, hitting the rook, and now comes the most epic moment of this game. Stockfish plays now the stunning bishop takes b5. Sacrifices the piece, but of course this also piece is hanging. Here knight takes d4 by motor, hitting the rook. Stockfish takes. Here we have a takes b5. Stockfish takes out now the bishop on f3, and is continuing now the game with down the exchange, but has here a 3 versus 1 situation on the queen side. So Stockfish has again also good compensation for the lost rook, has a knight and 2 pawns, but has also provoked some new weaknesses in white's position. f7 very weak, and also the pawn on b5 is very weak. So now black has a tough time also to include the rooks somehow, in both of them at least, into the game. And white can of course do something with this 3 versus 1 pawn majority on the queen side. Still a tough position to play for both sides. f6, we have rook to f5, hitting now this pawn. Stockfish takes after a couple of trades of rooks. Motor takes, and now Stockfish protects the pawn. We have now an attack against this one. Stockfish gets the king closer, and now also motor is getting the king closer to the center of the board. c4, g4, a4, Stockfish pushes the pawns here in the center, and now h5. You see, black is doing also some dangerous stuff on this side of the board. Knight to c3, king to d7, king to d4. We have a rook to f8, and now Stockfish plays knight to e4, protects now also finally the pawn on f2. We have rook to a8, Stockfish attacks the king, again pushes the pawn further. You cannot take because of the fork on b7, so that's why first of all h4, and now another brilliant move by the fish, knight to d3. Very important move to again include the knight on a better score into the game. You want to start to push, of course, your 2 connected passers in the center. You cannot just rely on this passer on the a file. Stockfish allows here motor to take the pawn on a5, but has now an extra tempo with the move c5. We have king to d7, d6. So Stockfish is going further and has again the opportunity to play something like knight to f4 and putting more pressure here. We have rook to a2, Motor is going for the f2 pawn. Stockfish goes with king to d5, rook to d2, and now c6. Again, Stockfish gains an extra tempo, although this knight is hanging temporarily on d3. King to c8, king to d4, protecting everything. We have now this one, knight to c5. Stockfish relies simply on this beautiful two connected passers, allows here Motor to take out now the pawn on f2, but now plays the very important d7. The game is not over here for Motor after knight to e6, because after king takes c6 and the promotion, Motor had this resource, rook to d2, attacks now the king and picks up now here the rook, and picks up now the queen with the rook, and now Stockfish is forced to take. And okay, let's stop now and watch this endgame. This is now table-based chess endgame, and this should be winning here for white, but it's still very complicated to do to make a win here out of this position. Let's see now this beautiful endgame here. Also, after knight to d8, of course, king to d7 by Motor. Stockfish is trying, of course, to get here the knight back into the game. The issue for white is here, of course, if you trade off somehow your pawn here on h2, then it's only a draw. Then you cannot win the game if you, of course, get rid of this pawn, even if you trade it for something, but you cannot win the game, of course, just with the knight. After knight to f6, we have g3, h3, only move, of course, as we said, don't trade off the pawns. We have g2, Stockfish delivers a check, goes out now with the king on knight on f3, king to f6, knight to g1, g5, king to f3, controlling the g4 square, because if you allow maybe in some good lines g4 for black, then the trades of pawns could happen, so you have to control now this very important square. We have king to e5, king takes g2, we have king to f4, and now Stockfish is forced to deliver some checks in order to prevent the move g4. We have now king to e3, knight to c3, we have king to f4, again a new check, not allowing g4. King to e4, knight to c7, and after king to f4, actually in this particular position, Motor resigned. And what I sometimes don't like about this top engine games from the computer chess rating list website is when they stop to play. So I think this position still has to be played in human level. I think many of us would mess up this endgame. So I think it's very, very important to continue now the analysis, although in this position Motor resigned, which is, I think, not a good setup of the computer chess rating list website. I think they should change that. Let them play till the end. Maybe I'll show sometimes an endgame when we may have maybe an endgame, I don't know, when there are two queens on the board and only the queen, maybe white has maybe two queens on the board and black has only the king. Of course, we don't need to push the position till the end, but I think this is still a beautiful endgame. You have to be really accurate here in order to make a win. So here I continued the analysis. The game was over, the PGN was over after king to f4. Here knight to e6 you should play. Of course, black has to stay connected to this pawn and is again preparing the move g4. Again we deliver check, king to e4, attacks now the knight, and now knight to f3. Now after king to f5, knight to h2, you're controlling the g4 square, and now after move king to e4 you play a very important move, king to f1. And this is a beautiful move because it's not allowing black here to play the move king to f3 to go into an opposition. Actually, you're the one that you're going into an opposition. Whatever black does, for instance, he tries king to f4, then you go with king to f2. If he goes here maybe with king to e3, then we play first of all again the opposition. We go into an opposition again. Very important endgame technique, the opposition, this parallel setup. King to f4, and now we go here, king to e4, and now we play this one. After king to f4, again we control the g4 square, but now the knight is not here, it's closer to the center of the board where it's of course more active. We have king to e4, and now you play knight to g2. This move is now the crucial moment. It's not allowing this king to f4, king to e4 perpetual. It's not allowing black to breathe here. Now after king to f5 the game is over. We get here and then we get closer to the pawn. Game over. If we try here king to e5, then we play again into an opposition, and The only way maybe for black to spice up the game in this position is to play the move g4, but actually you can take, because for h3 you have this one, knight to e1, you're trying h2, and then you have the fork, and we pick up this one. This still one is protected again. It would be game over here for black. So okay, this was my analysis till the end. Very important, I would say, really chess endgame pattern with this knight and a pawn against 3 pawns. Incredible game again, played by Stockfish 16. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this Richter-Veresov attack. You saw black also pushed the position to the limits. Stockfish got an attack, but then released the pressure one moment by trading off the queens, realized the tactical issues on the queen side, went into fully endgame stage with the knight against the rook, brave decisions, and won the beautiful endgame here with the knight on the board. So okay, if you want to see some other beautiful, spectacular, sharp tactical chess like this, check out our commented chess games played by computers, where we analyze some beautiful Stockfish, Alpha Zero, Lila Zero chess games. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.